people adopted an outsider, they threatened the outsider's life through torture or execution, and then offered a reprieve at the last moment. Indian adoption rituals place an awful lot of decision-making authority in the hands of women. And one way of reading these early events of Huahuacomico is to treat them as essentially political theater in which Pocahontas was playing her appointed role as the decision-maker as to whether or not John Smith would be killed or adopted. And if we're to believe John Smith's later account of these events, the decision by Pocahontas was to adopt John Smith essentially as Pocahontas' brother. And indeed, Powhatan called John Smith son after freeing him from captivity at Huahuacomico.
After his months in captivity, John Smith returned to find Jamestown on the verge of collapse. Of the original 104 Englishmen, there were now only 38 sick and hungry men.
Stand down, men.
Luckily for them, John Smith's newly adopted family came to the rescue.
Give it to me.
Such was the weakness of this poor Commonwealth, as had the savages not fed us, we directly had starved. And this relief was commonly brought to us by this lady, Pocahontas.
There was a brief golden age of everybody hoping that they had put one over on the other side and become allies.
Kina. Kina.
Recent excavations at Jamestown provide a surprising look at this time of peace.
I think that there were Indians there for a lot more visible than anyone's ever known before. And what we're finding archaeologically is this tremendous amount of Virginia Indian material, ranging from far and wide in Virginia. Lots of arrow points and knife blades are made of stone, Indian-made beads, pottery.
Excavations indicate that Indians did more than simply deliver food. Some stayed for a while.
They found evidence of women's activities, Indian women's activities, in the English fort at Jamestown Island.
Native people who allied with a foreign group would have expected intermarriage. I believe that sexual relationships were taking place between Englishmen at Jamestown and native women.
The English never wrote about it, but Spaniards, who collected foreign intelligence about Jamestown, did.
Spanish said upwards of 50 marriages had taken place between the groups. We do know that there was a relationship between John Smith and Pocahontas. Was it romantic? Unlikely, but we can't be sure. Some colonists suspected that it might be romantic.
Me and my boy. This is me and my boy.
No, get your face out of it. I'm just kidding.
King by marrying Pocahontas, Powhatan's daughter.
The days of feasting and good relations with the Indians lasted about 7 months at most, from January 1608 into the summer. With the approach of autumn,
He still hasn't burped.
providing food.
English people went around trying to buy corn from the Indian people, but the Indians didn't want to sell.
More months of starvation and misery followed for the struggling colony. Many historians have wondered why the Indians stopped providing food for the English. Why, too, the English couldn't have found their own food. Today, Virginia teems with edible plants and wildlife.
You can definitely fall flat on your face here in the swamp if you're not careful.
Archaeologists at Jamestown asked Dr. David Staley to find out if Virginia was as lush and fertile in 1608 as it is today.
Well, we're at the Blackwater River, Virginia. This is an impounded bottomland hardwood bald cypress swamp. Maybe only 1,000th of 1%